If you have a scary story that you'd like to share with the channel, go to astheravendreams.com and click the button to send it my way. You can also email it to astheravendreams@gmail.com. I also accept them there. And of course, thank you. Hi, Raven. This is something that happened to me when I was younger, and I decided to send it in to you to read. I love your narration style. Well, thank you. This is not nearly as weird or frightening as other stories you've read, but still unsettling to me. One night, when I was a late teen or early 20-something, I went to visit a new guy that I had just started dating. I was invited over to meet and have dinner with his parents, whom he lived with. I was surprised when he gave me the address, to see that they lived way out in the woods. Like, the last half mile to their house was a really rough and rocky dirt road, and they were probably 2 miles from their nearest neighbor and maybe 5 miles from the nearest town. The car I owned and drove to their place that night had a crappy radio with a broken knob on it. The knob had just broken off one night, and I'd been pushing in the remaining lever to turn the radio, and I would twist it to turn the volume up or down. It was an old car, old radio, and I was a broke-ass student at the time, and I couldn't afford anything better. I had just started dating this new guy, and I don't think he'd ever been in my car yet, so he didn't know that my radio was broken. And this is important to the story. Since I lived in a suburb near a major city, I was always used to locking my car doors. It was an absolute habit. So even though they lived way out in the woods, I still locked my car when I pulled up to their house, just simply out of habit. I went in, met his parents, we all had dinner, and then he and I sat around and listened to music for a couple of hours before I decided to head back home. At no point were we alone. His parents were either with us or in the next room over from us with the door open and no one else was there. As I leave, I unlock my car, get into it, wave goodbye to them, and start heading back down the dirt road. Somewhere on that dirt road, I went to turn on my radio, the one with the broken knob. To my surprise, there was a knob there, totally different from the one that broke off a month or so earlier. It was much bigger and wider. The initial one had a dime circumference, while this one had a quarter-sized. I was shocked and fiddled around with the knob in the dark to try and figure out what in the world was going on. It was then that I noticed that not only was the knob different, but the entire radio was different. The first one just had 2 buttons, I believe. One for power and one for scanning the stations. There might have been another one for AM/FM, but I can't be sure. And it had a green glow on the display. But this one had a white display and a bunch of buttons. The kind that allow you to preset your favorite station and change between them just by pushing a button. How was this possible? My car had absolutely been locked. I remember locking and unlocking it. And no one out there even knew that my stereo knob was broken. We'd all been inside the whole evening. When I got home, I called my boyfriend and asked him if he happened to give me a new stereo, and he said no. I then made him ask his parents, and I'm sure he thought I was a weirdo, but then he confirmed that nobody in their house had put a new radio in my car. So, what are the odds that somebody is hiking deep into their woods within those 3 to 4 hours and just happened to have a car stereo with them, then figured out how to jimmy my car lock, uninstalled the old stereo, installed the new one, and then locked my car back up and disappeared into the nights? I'm guessing the odds are infinitesimally small. In my hometown, there's a tattoo and piercing parlor that's been around for quite a long time. I've purchased jewelry from them on many occasions, and I even had a piercing done there once. Long story short, I know the place, and have been going there for years. Now, here's where the weird parts begin. A few years back, I was with a friend and wanted to stop there really quick to buy some new jewelry. I drove out to where it was, but it wasn't there. I drove up and down the shopping strip several times just to make sure that I wasn't losing my mind. No sign of it. So I looked it up on Apple Maps. To my relief, this place did indeed still exist, but it was somehow not located where I remembered it always being. Weirder still, it's only a few streets down. Also, in a strip mall, but a totally different one. I actually got lost trying to find it, and when we did, I had absolutely no memory of it ever being there. I distinctly remember the day that we went there, too. They had just pierced my nose. And I had a very frightening experience with vasovagal syncope, which has unfortunately remained quite memorable. Fast forward 2-ish years, I'd been to this place numerous times during that time. I, as of quite recently, no longer live in my hometown, and I was only there visiting for the one day. I decided to go to the piercing shop because I wanted a new nose ring, and they do their jewelry in a way that has to be unscrewed and changed with professional tools. Weird for some, but convenient for me, because I don't have to worry about it falling out. Anyway, I digress. I drove out to where I had finally learned it was the new location, which was a bright green-colored strip mall building in an inconvenient parking lot right on the side of the road. I parked, and I got out of the car before I realized the store wasn't freaking there. I did a triple take, and when I still didn't see it, I drove up and down the strip mall several times before parking and searching Apple Maps for the location of the store. Once again, I did find it, but it was once more in a completely different spot from the first and second locations that I remember. Even better, it's in the freaking building facing the original place that I remember. Yes, I'm sure it's not the same building. I've lived in that town pretty much my whole life, and we were talking about 3 places within a few streets of one another by the beach. I don't even know what to think anymore. Maybe one day I'll wake up to find my nose unpierced because the shop never actually existed, or something. Such strange, silly, inconvenient things that the Matrix does sometimes. Good morning, Raven. This just happened this morning within the last hour. I had to share this with you. As you may recall from an email exchange we had when I purchased your book, I have several stories to share but have never taken the time to type them out, as I truly strive to live in the space now in the flow and trust with life. I've had so many strange experiences in my life that often do but don't always make sense. This one impacted both my husband and myself, and therefore, I'm not having this event by myself. Within the last 2.5 months, we've had a lot of changes, as we've been living in both Conway, Arkansas, and a small town in southeast Missouri, 2 weeks at each place. This was a decision we made to bring me closer to my work, as I do work remotely, but also support a large territory in North Arkansas for my work with the bank. Another major event is that we lost our beloved dog of 14 plus years. It was her time, but it's been hard. Very sorry for your loss. And we knew that the travel back and forth every 2 weeks would have been very hard on our elder dog, and she knew it was her time. We found peace in knowing she's without her physical form. The last trip to Conway had some strange events itself, and I often said that I felt like we were in the Twilight Zone. One example is that we were walking on a neighborhood road, and saw an evergreen tree, and halfway up it extended a new limb with oak leaves, as in an entirely new tree growing from the original evergreen tree. Not a tree side by side that grew beside it, but actually halfway up the tree, new limbs grew out of it and became a huge oak tree. We took some photos, but it's really hard to see due to the brush in the tree. But it's there and it's huge. I've never seen a tree create a new species of tree from itself. Just a side note of the anomalies that have been happening in my weird world. So, this story essentially started because I was visiting our niece one day while in Arkansas. She owns a tea shop and she happened to have a juicer there that day, and she made me a fresh watermelon juice when I was there. It was so good that I decided I needed to order a juicer for myself. It was during Mercury retrograde, and I don't like to order electronics during this cycle, but I thought, it's a juicer. What's the worst that could happen? So I ordered it from Amazon, and double-checked everything, but sure enough, I didn't update the address, and it was sent to Arkansas instead of Missouri. I was so frustrated by this since the place that we stay in Arkansas is a large apartment complex. And while it has secure mailboxes, I got a notification that it was left on the doorstep. We weren't planning to be back there for another 10 days. I was so frustrated by my mistake on the address delivery, I texted my niece and she was able to go there and pick it up for us. Thankfully, so it was not sitting on the porch indefinitely. During this trip, the one we just got back from, we had our home alarm go off due to our motion sensor going off in the kitchen of our home in Missouri. The police came to the house, checked it out, and saw nothing to cause the alarm. No signs of someone trying to break in. We have our home in Missouri set up for a motion inside the house, and it was high enough to not be triggered by our dog walking when she was alive, so this was not something on the ground that triggered it. The next day, we had a family member come by the house. She has an access code to get in as our doors and alarms are electronic and do not require physical keys. We saw her walk in on the camera in the living room, and we talked to her through the camera, and she confirmed that everything looked fine. Nothing was amiss or out of place. She came back Thursday, today is Sunday, to clean the house as she does every couple of weeks. And I saw her when she arrived on the camera as well. She just had her cleaning supplies and did her thing and then left a couple of hours later. This morning is when the free juicer appeared. My husband went to pick up some breakfast for us, and I went to fill the Keurig with water using a pitcher that I keep under the cabinet, and when I opened the cabinet, there was a juicer just sitting there. Not the same one as I left in Arkansas. This is a different brand, model, style, etc. My immediate thought was, how did this get there? Did Nicole, a family member, leave it there for us to use? I had no recollection of telling her about wanting to get one or having bought one. In fact, my husband and I were talking about getting one for our home here so we could keep making juices, as taking it back and forth would be too much of a hassle with everything else we have to do during these 2-week trips. When my husband got home, I had it sitting on the counter and I asked him about it, if he knew where it came from. He was as surprised and perplexed as I was. So I immediately texted Nicole and said to him if she didn't leave this with us, then I'm not going to know what to think. Sure enough, she texted me back and she did not leave it with us. She does not have one to share with us. She didn't see it on the counter, and she doesn't go into the counters typically when she's cleaning, unless she's putting dishes away. But since we left our home pretty clean when we left for our trip, there were no dishes on the counter to begin with. But the juicer was in the cupboard that is not typically used for anything, other than those types of odds and ends. So we now have a free juicer that we cannot understand where it came from. We have no other family members with key codes to get into our home. We only have that one weird incident where the alarm went off around 2:30 a.m., and the police came out and spent a good amount of time searching the exterior of our house and making sure that nothing was broken into or unsecured. The access point of the alarm trigger was in the kitchen. The sensor indicated movement that was high enough to set it off, and yet nothing was taken. No one was seen in the house on the camera, and now we have a juicer that we never ordered nor have we ever seen before. I have a photo of the juicer and the weird tree, and I'll share them just because it's so bizarre. Thank you for reading, and eventually I will try to get a couple of these other stories out there. Hello, Raven. I've listened to your channel for a while now and finally decided to send one in. So the story starts with a quick backstory. In my country, there are two competing grocery stores with very similar selections. However, they taste and look very different. This is relevant. Their packaging is similar, but with different colors. Basically, I like these frozen garlic baguettes from the other store better. Their packaging is blue, very distinct looking, while the other store's baguettes are bad, in my opinion, and their packaging is green. Note here that the blue packaging has 2 in one bag, while the green has only 1 in the packaging. Now, to the main part. I, at some point, bought 2 of the green, bad baguettes, because that store was closer to my place, and I was going to eat them that night. However, I forgot them in the freezer due to stuff happening, and they stayed there for weeks. I even remember telling my boyfriend that I needed to eat them, though I didn't like them, because they were taking up space. He was in the kitchen with me one night, and he saw the green baguette, and I joked about them tasting awful, and we moved on. A few days later, I thought we could finally eat them, and when I opened up the freezer, there they were. 1 bag of 2 baguettes in the color blue. I turned to look at my boyfriend, and we both just stood there staring at the packaging. There weren't 2 baguettes in green, but a bag with the blue baguettes instead. Same spot where the green ones had been the whole time. I asked my boyfriend, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" He said, "Yeah." And I took out the baguettes, searched for the green ones to make sure I wasn't going crazy, but they weren't there. Like, there's no way that I could have eaten them, because I would have to turn the oven on to do so. And I hadn't turned it on in weeks. Like, actually. I saw them in the freezer often because I eat a lot of ice cream and have to look in the freezer to get it. My boyfriend's not a believer in anything like this, and for him to be so sure as well, and refuse to talk about it further is insane. I hope this was entertaining, and please, avoid the number 2 if you're sensitive to paranormal things. Always get things in 1s or 3s, but never 2s. It seems to be the glitch number in many people's experiences. This happened to me a couple of years ago. I was biking to work as per my usual routine, and I was at a crosswalk waiting to cross when I heard tires squealing. I was on my phone but managed to look up in time to see a red pickup truck run a red light and slam into a black BMW on the driver's side rear panel. The BMW spun violently and nearly flipped into the air. The tire was torn off and thrown into a parking lot, hitting a car. The red pickup, knocked off his trajectory, sped toward the sidewalk, slamming into a light post. Thankfully, the 3 people there managed to flee before the pickup hit them. The impact was so loud and violent, and there was debris everywhere, and yet, aside from the car alarm from the damaged vehicle in the parking lot, everyone was quiet. I looked around at everyone's stunned faces before my EMT training kicked in. I took a class a few months prior, and while I didn't pursue that as a career, I did value the training that I received. I immediately took out my phone and dialed 911, as I told people to check on the driver but not to move them. I relayed everything I saw, as much clear information as I could, to the female operator. When I heard a man shout out that there was a baby in the BMW, I felt my heart twisting up in fear and sadness, but managed to keep my composure, and I looked up to get the street names. When I looked back for the wreckage, it was gone. There was no car accident or anything, just a regular boring street. The 911 operator must have heard my confused expression. I think I muttered something like, "What the f-?" I explained to her that I must have been mistaken, as there was no car accident. She asked if I was okay, and I told her that, yeah, I guess I was just confused. I apologized, and right before I was going to hang up, the accident happened, just as I remembered it, every single detail, and probably even more since I saw it fully. The 911 operator must have heard the crash over the phone and asked me if there was a car accident just now. I said yes, and she sent the police immediately. I stayed on the phone with her for a few minutes, as we both tried to figure out what the hell had just happened. We were both very confused as to the situation, and just decided to leave it behind us. I don't really believe in the supernatural, and I for sure would have just dismissed this as a random fleeting thought if it wasn't for the fact that I had a 5-minute call with 911 on my phone. The OP added an edit. I did stick around, and while the mom was pretty beat up, the baby was okay from what I saw when the ambulance took them. The red pickup driver was drunk, as evident of him trying to run and fight people who held him back until the police cuffed him. My husband and I had been married for about a year when this happened on Thanksgiving of 2018. Our big, beautiful blended family was excited to visit with relatives and eat good food. We had 2 sets of relatives that wanted us to drop by that day, so we loaded up ourselves and 5 of our kids. The first stop was 12 miles from where we lived. Nothing crazy happened going to or during our first stop. We then packed up to go to our oldest daughter and her partner's home about 30 miles away. From our first stop to the second should have taken at least 25 minutes. We'd driven this particular route dozens of times. We headed out and turned our usual way to the right to go to our next stop. We drove for about 5 minutes when we realized we didn't recognize our surroundings. Around the same time, all of the cell phones in the car lost signal, so GPS was not an option. We drove another 5 minutes, and just as we were about to panic, we saw a sign stating that we were entering a national park that was local to the area. The cell phones all then resumed working. The thing is, this park was 45 minutes in the opposite direction from where we were going, and only 10 to 15 minutes had gone by. It took us another hour to reroute and get to our oldest daughter for Thanksgiving. To this day, we wonder if we jumped through an unseen portal, teleported. Honestly, we have no idea. All we can say was that it was a glitch in the Matrix for sure. All of us experienced it, and all of us were so disoriented, and none of us ever saw or felt anything that defined the exact moment it happened. 1 minute we were going one way 30 minutes, and the next we were across the county in the opposite direction faster than should have been possible. Thank you for listening, Raven. Okay, so I don't know if this is the right sub, but I had to get it somewhere finally. So basically, I've been at the same job for 8 years, and manager for the past 5. When I was made manager, I was given the password to the safe that we put the nightly deposits in, and for some reason it felt so familiar. It was the easiest to memorize because I had already known it somehow. It took me a while, but then one day it clicked, and I was sent back to the lunch line in middle school punching in my 5-digit code into the little pad to pay for my lunch. I freaked the hell out, and was like, that's a pretty crazy coincidence, as I didn't set the password to the safe myself. So I just tried to chalk it up to some crazy coincidence, and told every single employee about it ever since. They all agreed that it was pretty strange. I've told at least 20 employee/anybody else I might think that would find it interesting for literal years. Up until about a month ago, where on a regular old Monday, I went into the office to grab deposits from the safe for my weekly bank run, and my password wasn't working. So I put it in 3 times, until the safe locked from too many bad attempts, and I then had to wait to retry. So I'm super confused, obviously, and I go into my notes tab to where I have the original password given to me when I became manager. Somehow it's a completely different number that I know I never changed. I don't even know how to change it. But regardless, I give this new one a go and boom, the safe opens with it. So that's all I got. All I know is I haven't been just making this up for like 5 years, and I damn well never changed that password on the safe or in my phone's notes. Hi, Raven. I enjoy your show, and my wife and I listen to at least one of your YouTube collections daily. Thank you. We had a small glitch happen and immediately thought of you. A couple of months ago, our neighbors were evicted from their rental home and had to move quickly. As I came home from work, the wife asked if I could help move some of the bigger pieces of furniture. I had the time, and for once my back was holding up, so I pitched in. They offered to give us some of the furniture, as they wouldn't have the space moving in with family. We kept a short couch to replace an old one the dogs sleep on, and a wooden end table. It wasn't until we got the end table into the house when we noticed a large sticker of a TV service's logo pasted on top of the end table. It was about 6 inches by 3 inches, and it looked like it had been there for a while, so removing it without damaging the finish was going to be difficult. We left it in the front room, and eventually the knickknacks and mail piled on it. My mother-in-law is coming to visit us for a few weeks soon, so we've started cleaning up. We decided that the end table will work well in our guest room, so we cleared it off to carry upstairs. But that huge sticker is no longer there. We looked around to see if it peeled off on its own, but couldn't find it. There isn't even any gummy residue that's typically left behind. Our eyes met, and we immediately knew. An obvious glitch. It's the first one that we've had together since listening to your show, so I knew we had to share it. I hope you enjoy this little glitch as much as we did. So that, my friends, was a collection of some Glitch in the Matrix stories, the first of the week. You will notice I said first of the week, meaning first collection of Glitch stories of the week. There will be a second one on Thursday. Do you believe that? I believe it, because I already scheduled it. That is correct. So, for the next few weeks, we'll be doing 2 Glitch videos a week. Will this do good things for the channel, or will it cause the channel to fall apart? Who knows? Maybe both. Maybe it'll do great things for the channel, and then when it's all said and done, the channel will fall apart because everyone expects double the glitch videos. Not gonna happen. As in, the double glitch videos aren't gonna work after this whole daily content thing for the next month, so. Anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed this collection of Glitch in the Matrix stories. Definitely some interesting ones. Hopefully you enjoy it enough to hit that fantastic like button on the video, the thumbs up button down below. Hopefully you like it so much that you consider going over and hitting that subscribe button on the video, on the channel, not the video, whatever. And hopefully, yeah, not hopefully, but maybe you like it so much that you want to support the channel further and see all the extra content I currently have hidden away for members. All the early access content I have by clicking that join button or Patreon. Go to the Patreon link, where for $1 a month, you can get early access to content like this and other things. Maybe. Not expected, but is appreciated. I also did write a book, The Insomniac's Experiment. It is a thriller, kind of a thriller horror story, I guess. Psychological thriller, somewhere in there. Had some good feedback on it, and if you are interested, the link is down below in the description. You can also just go to Amazon and search The Insomniac's Experiment. That's possessive, Insomniac, ''S. And it's by Raven Adams. That's me. At least that's who I say I am. So that is me. It's, like I said, I had some good feedback on it. Good reviews. Decent reviews. No one has told me that it was terrible. Not yet, at least. Still time. Maybe you'll be that person. Anyway. You can also email me if you want to purchase a autographed copy. I need to get more, but I have a couple left. Not too many, but a few. We will discuss that in the email. You can also send your stories to me at astheravendreams.com or astheravendreams@gmail.com. I accept it at both, so. Oh, wait, no, one more thing. Sorry, word of the week. It's a glitch video. First glitch video of the week. Obviously, with 2 glitch videos, there will not be 2 word of the week. Just the first one will have the word of the week, so. Last week, a number of people made my comment section replete and posted their comments with the word of the week. On the screen right now, and several moments prior to this moment in time, is the collection of people that did so. All these people went above and beyond, used replete in a sentence 2 weeks ago, and as such, they are featured here. I appreciate people that join in on this because it's never expected, but it does help tremendously. It's a lot of good interactions with the video. I get to see you guys make some amazing sentences. Use your prose, your ability to write, and I love it. So, yeah. Thank you again to each and every single one of these people. You all are amazing, and if you didn't comment, that's totally fine. It's, again, like I said, never expected. This week, being a little less facetious about things, the word of the week is facetious. F-A-C-E-T-I-O-U-S. Joking or jesting, often inappropriately, waggish, meant to be humorous or funny, not serious. Use facetious in a sentence. Get featured next Monday on that glitch video. Yeah. Stay amazing, my friends. Remember that you are loved, you are valid, you are important. The world is a better place with you in it. Don't forget it. Of course, until next time, my friends, much love and sleep well.